Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Billions of pesos are lost every year to disasters, but what is the extent of the impact of calamities on the economy? Let's now have an exchange with S&P Global Market Intelligence Asia Pacific Chief Economist Rajiv Biswas, joining us now from Singapore. Rajiv, great to have you with us. Calamities are one of the Philippines' biggest headaches year after year after year. How does this impact the economy and local industries?
What we've seen over many years is that Philippines is very vulnerable to quite a wide range of natural disasters, which can cause tremendous economic damage. Notably, we've seen some very large typhoons which have hit the Philippines and have created a lot of destruction to agriculture, a loss of lives. And because of global warming, the expectation is that these disasters will have more and more economic impact as we go forward into the future. So I think a key issue will be to improve disaster resilience and invest a lot more money in disaster preparedness for a wide range of disasters such as floods, droughts, and also earthquakes, because Philippines is also vulnerable to earthquakes.
That's right.
And Manila in particular is a concern that there could be a major earthquake in Manila.
Yeah, the Philippines is in the ring of fire, and you mentioned clearly agriculture is among the country's major sectors, and it takes a beating in every disaster, especially the Rice Bowl provinces in Luzon. Does it really drastically dampen economic growth when agriculture is impacted?
Because the Philippines economy has a high share of the population working in rural sector industries, particularly agriculture, fisheries, and also because the agricultural production is an important input into the food processing sector, there is a high level of vulnerability to loss of agricultural crops. And it hurts the poorest hardest, because a large share of the rural population are relatively low income. So that is another major concern, that if a major typhoon hits, millions of people can lose their livelihoods when their crops are destroyed. So at many levels, there's a great concern about how Philippines can reduce its vulnerability to such natural disasters.
Yeah, and as a result, we've already seen the price of rice rising due to the past two typhoons, Egay and Falcon, that have hit the Philippines. And not only the rural areas, Rajiv, are vulnerable, but also the urban areas, because disasters also impact productivity among workers and small businesses.
Certainly. And again, urban areas are very vulnerable to earthquakes. So there's a lot of work that is needed in the Philippines, and not only Philippines, but many countries worldwide, to improve the resilience of the buildings to earthquakes. Because as we've seen in many tragic disasters in recent years, such as the recent earthquakes in Turkey, this can have a devastating impact on people, many loss of lives in the Turkish earthquakes, and also on the economy as well. So certainly, all segments of the economy are vulnerable to such major natural disasters that have been affecting the Philippines over many years.
So Rajiv,
I think
Rajiv, should we blame the government's disaster resilient and preparedness initiatives for these economic losses?
The Philippines is emerging as an economy from a relatively low-income economy. It's made a lot of progress in the last 20 years to moving up towards more middle-income economy, and that creates more resources. A lot of this is about government having resources, private sector having resources to improve disaster resilience. So I think that when we say what can the government do, it's very much linked to resources. As the Philippines becomes a bigger economy, according to our forecast, it's going to become $1 trillion economy within the next decade. That will give the government much more resources to invest in improving infrastructure resilience, improving water supply for situations like drought, and other mechanisms.
If we have in place disaster resilient and preparedness initiatives that really work, then this will indeed help the rural areas, particularly the agricultural sector. Our harvest for rice will not be destroyed, which has basically impacted inflation over the past year. Prices of goods have really gone up. That's why we've seen inflation continuing to rise.
I think the issue around food price inflation is very complex, and it's not easy to resolve issues like typhoon damage to agriculture, even with the best efforts. But I think what can be done is things like insurance. At the moment, insurance is still not very low in the Philippines in terms of risk mitigation and compensation for loss. So I think one of the big areas where there can be progress to support farmers and other industries that are very vulnerable to natural disasters is much greater use of insurance. And that again is linked to income, affordability, ability to pay. The government has a role, but the private sector also has a role.
Thank you so much for this Economic Impact Exchange. S&P Global Market Intelligence Asia Pacific Chief Economist Rajiv Biswas joining us from Singapore. And still ahead on the exchange, where your business is our business. We talk to the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation about how businesses prepare for calamities. You are watching CNN Philippines, news you can trust.